Here we are back for part 3 after our adjournment, which was a bit like Saturday. We went straight into race 5 there, Ralphie, the stayers. I didn't participate in this race. The betting around Goathland was a bit both ways, and that's sort of how the horse ran last prep. It needed the second run before it peaked, when it produced the big win at Flemington. So that's why I didn't just take it on trust on today, even though that stable's very good at getting them ready for their first 2400 metre run. And it's a bit of a bunch finish. There's some provincial class horses that weren't beaten far, so I'm a bit nonplussed about that form going forward.
I think the only two you want to look at is Goathland, where, as you said, now it's got that platform. And Grand Dream has actually always had a bit of talent. It was quirky sort of data on Vince's stuff, and it backs up what you're saying about the wind, because it's basically gone, because the 2400 starts, about 300 metre mark at Sandown. So they've had the tailwind starting them off, then they've dropped anchor into the headwind, and then they've gone again. Yeah. So I think that's how a horse like Transfer Allowance has sort of skunked its way to the finish, with Chris Simon's actually rode the wave perfectly, but it's not much good. So it's well exposed enough to say that. So I think Goathland will be one of those. I can't see it ever winning a big race, which is not a huge statement. But where I'm going with it is that I reckon the team Williams dispersal sale, someone's going to have a lot of fun buying that, because it's like the Anderson Robles module, those type of horses that I reckon they'll sell it. They'll probably get too much money for it, but if it stays sound and there's nothing to say it won't, whoever buys it's going to have a lot of fun. That type of horse, I reckon he's got a bit of talent.
Absolutely.
He's now about to, and yeah, Grand Dreamer. The only 2400 run I think was on very wet ground at the Bull Carnival, where it was odds on. So that's no real sort of guide there. So as you say, it's pretty plain. Race 6, we got the complete reversal. The dead set walked here.
Yeah, well, as I said when we did the preview, a lot depends on how the jockeys were going to react to running into the wind. And the 1600 metre start is the longest. Well, that's at the end of the back straight. So they're just running out. So the jockeys are just in no hurry. And this race is basically a sprint over the last 800 metres. The first 1000 metres of the races has no relevance. So it's all you know is that Ponchel's a class above them, because he's out sprinted them all. On Piccolo, look, he last prep he led in a brutal race at Sandown when Kensha Wood running down late. And he reappeared 21 days later at Moonee Valley, was heavily backed and ran a peak, right? So I took that evidence that he could run well again on Saturday. But he just didn't. He just wasn't himself.
I reckon you touched on something that was the difference. 21 days compared to 14 days. Maybe. I just reckon that 1 week, and then so it's flat run city because you had.
The only thing that annoys me a bit is the betting new. That's frustrating. You know what I mean?
Of course.
If the horse wasn't right, he probably shouldn't have been there. He probably should have waited a week and gone around at Moonee Valley next week.
Well, I was on Patrology but I was hoping it would be a length in front of Plain CL, and there was pace on the race. So they had no pace, but no damage. Jack and Obey was a classic ride for cover, because it's got the second line, and Jack and Obey, as we well know, particularly at a mile, it can really truck them at good speed. So because, as you said, tempo and the incentive to lead was taken away.
All the other jockeys have played in the Ponchel's hands.
And that's
like Darren Weir had made it clear that he thought the run was a run short of fitness. The betting in this race is very interesting, because the market seemed to know late that there was going to be absolutely no tempo in this race.
Good call.
And despite drifting all morning from odds on out to probably peaked at 260 or 270 on Betfair and 250 in the on the VOP. This horse was heavily backed in the last 30 seconds of betting. So that's the sort of thing where I would want the stewards to really delve into that and have a look at, ask the right questions to the other jockeys in the race, because they played in the Ponchel's hands.
So a good friend of mine says you have to have a mindset nowadays of there's no stewards. But to use the DK theory of use your starting point as no conspiracy theories, which was a good mindset changer, do you think maybe the market said, well, into this brutal headwind, no one's going to try anything? And in that case, Ponchel's just better than him and won't be tested first up, fitness-wise, conditioning-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with that. I mean, the way I handled the race was I had a small saving bet on Ponchiel early, early in the betting on Saturday.
Yep.
As soon as the support started to come and it was obviously that it was building into a truckload, I chimed right in again. So I won the race. Like, it didn't bother. Like, it's okay, but
And just on that, so he's run the 14th best last 800, second best 600, best 400, best 200. That is your perfect platform to peak again, because it would have taken nothing out of him, wouldn't it?
No.
Because it's done no work for the first half of the race, first up course, so he's on his way somewhere. Race 7, they've walked and they've gone slower in the mid-race.
Yeah. Unfortunately, again,
it's one of your horses. It wasn't one of mine, but it's one of yours.
So Ruby.
Yeah. You found it seen anyone though?
Yeah, I did. I did actually. And I've I saved it on Saturday. Look, watching the race, it's a sort of race where you just visually you give Jake Bayless 10 out of 10. So I sort of don't want this to sound like I'm criticising, because
on Padrino?
On Padrino.
100%.
He's done it. They expected the horse to be probably midfield, and he's actually taken a position and held it. And however, I'm just saying the difference between those jockeys that are still learning those craft and those that get that earn the extra jockey bonus that you give them.
Yes.
Okay. Sense exactly what's happening with the tempo and where their main danger is in the race.
Yeah.
And so Leote had sort of disappeared from the betting.
Yeah.
So it left Sahura Ruby as the main danger.
Yeah.
And this is all hindsight. So this is not being. I don't want this to sound like I'm being unfairly critical of Jake, because there was a lot about that right to like, and in the end, Sahura Ruby was too good. But I'm just making the point that on reflection, when you're reviewing the race, he gave up the position to his main danger too cheaply.
Yes. When
that also was able to conserve its energy, even though it was exposed to the breeze, if you like.
Yep.
And it just out-sprinted it. It's as simple as that. That's the nature of the race. Now, I don't think there's very much between Sahura Ruby and Padrino at all as horses. If anything, I think Padrino's probably got a little bit more talent.
So let me peel something back. I reckon you're saying, so I'm not putting words in your mouth, but this is my theory, that if Regan Bayless was riding it, full of confidence, smashed him over the summer, has taken that next step to a gun-sending jockey, he just would have said, you know what, stuff, I'm going to the front, I'm going to own the race. And so again, because I'm with you, I'm not critical. You sit 1-1 after sitting midfield, you're giving your horse every chance in theory. But because they dropped anchor, effectively, I looked this up on Vince's figures. Compared to Caulfield, 6 lengths slower to the 800 metre mark. Mm-hmm. From the 800 to 400, 10 lengths slower. Yeah. So that is just too hard for a horse like Padrino. But as you said, to the eye, there was just no knock on it whatsoever. But it's
and in fairness to Jake, he didn't ride it at Caulfield. Okay.
No.
So Bo Merton's rated at Caulfield. And I'm saying if it's Bo Merton's on it, Sandown, because he knows the horse better.
Yes.
He would have, and sensing that's his main danger.
Yep.
There was an opportunity to force up in the middle, which would have either meant you go to the lead, or the leader has to go a bit quicker, and the main danger's working harder, and then you're in the perfect position. So, but I mean, honestly, it's very easy to make these sort of assessments post-race. It's harder to make it during the race. So,
and so I think there's a difference. Take all personality clashes aside, but I think there's a big difference in saying this is what should have happened. You're not necessarily being critical. You're saying we're learning on hindsight.
Yeah, that's right.
And then that's a different situation. We'll be critical if we have to.
I'm saying to Jake, you've rode that horse really well.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying if he wants to go to the next level as a jockey, they're the sort of things that make the difference. And they're very marginal things. So
very fair.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're talking about platforms. Were you a Ouija turf man because it had a platform coming off a fast race? Or
it's another race where, he was too short in the early market.
Yep.
I expected him to drift. He got close to a point where I was interested in because he was clearly the most talented horse in the race.
Yep.
The problem with him is, in all of his past runs, with some very good jockeys riding him, he's taken at least 100 to 200 metres to build his momentum, and that's put him in very vulnerable positions.
Yep.
Whatever the reason, so I suspect it's because he had the first up run and backed up, and that's given him a really good platform and he's felt really good about himself. actually come out of the gates nicely on Saturday.
Yes.
Held the position. Yeah. It was 2 lengths further advanced of where he's normally been in all the other runs. It's not been the fault of the jockeys at all.
No.
It's been the fault of the horse.
And good therapy was flying up front. So that also it enabled him to be travelling comfortably. So.
Well, I'm just saying that if he did what he'd done previously in a number of runs where he's run home and just missed out, he would have been another pair at least further back.
Yes.
And it would have been much harder race for him to win. But because he held that spot right in the sweet spot in a solid tempo race, it was obvious halfway through the race that he was going to win it. And the other thing that was extremely obvious after 100 metres is that Zam was not the same horse it was at Flemington.
So, and then we press for time because we know we're going to get these to a certain time. Sam Highland, I switched on a minute before the race, put the volume up. Sam Highland said, Zam's really played up and I think she's settled down now, but she's been really off her game on the way to the barriers. She ran, so good on Sam for saying it, because he was spot on. She's ran like she wasn't in the mood. Why wasn't there anything in the stewards report? I mean, if we're seeing this, I mean, for people going forward who didn't see that 60 seconds before the race, they'd say, well, her attitude wasn't right for the day.
I don't know what to make of her anymore. I've got no idea whether she's capable of bouncing back or whether what happened at Flemington was just a fluke.
Camp on fire, who knows? And the last race, well, there's your anchor drop city there because Thelberg did drop anchor and went a bit slower earlier than Caulfield as well. So that's probably, on one hand, it's a bit of, in fairness to Ben Allen, but on the other hand, he did overdo it a bit. And Kenny Essence probably proved that it's just a dry tracker. I don't think data point's ungenuine. I just think it's a miler. What's your thoughts there?
I think the 3 of them are nice horses.
Yeah.
Everything played to Kenny Essence's favour in this race. Data Point is a different horse now, he's been gelded, so I would be just assessing him on his first up Pakenham effort, which was outstanding, and his run on Saturday, which was very good. And they'll all continue to win races. Strangely enough, the time in this race is nowhere near as solid as I expected it to be. I'm not sure what the reason is. That anchor drop's probably it, and I'll have a good look at it. But sometimes, even though the overall time's not as quick as you expect, you can still really trust the form.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Who's your force to follow from the meeting? Give us one.
Who's a horse to follow out of this meeting?
Well, you're looking at, I'll say Lone Eagle because I can't see it staying a maiden.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
It's just what a good debut that was, and probably won't be any price, but for wins we don't really care.
I actually think Widgie Turf's a horse to follow now.
Yeah.
I think that's he'll get enormous benefit out of winning that race. That horse really needed to win a race because he's obviously a fast, talented horse that just needs to improve his racing style. Yep. He's made a step in that direction, and I think he can do something.
Cool. Get the car bus inside, others. freezemnd.com.au and get your beanie.
Thanks, Ralph. That's it. That'll do us. Hopefully we'll be back next week with the
18
with Juppy. Who knows? And well, I hope the punters get to see this because if they don't, it means that I've had some sort of severe problems.
If you're watching this and he's been able to get it up.
Yeah. Thanks, punters. Good luck.